How are you? Looking good.
To the Allentown
They left you all alone? What's going on here? Well, how are you?
Want a picture?
Oh yeah. The family reunion. You're not kidding.
Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day. This is a very, very special day for all of us here, not just at the Allentown Fairgrounds, but here in the Lehigh Valley. Yes, this is our opportunity to recognize the time, the talent, and the effort of our past chairman and general manager, Ed Charles. He has given so much to the Lehigh County Agricultural Society. And wow, what a guy. He was in the automobile business for 40 years. And I couldn't help but think over the years, what a better man to have out there negotiating than a used car salesman. I mean, boy, that background in itself says something. He was chairman of the Allentown Osteopathic Hospital at one time, charter member of the Whitehall School Authority, president of the Lehigh County Children's Bureau. Eddie, you never stayed home. President of the Whitehall Chamber of Commerce. And you go on and on and on, doing so much over the years, whatever he could for Lehigh County and its community. His involvement here at the fair began in 1961. Think about that. Think where all you guys were in 1961. I recall I probably had dark hair at the time. When he was elected as a member of the board of directors in 1961, it was the beginning. Now he was really on his way. Just think that was 50 years ago. My goodness, 50 years ago. He was elected as chairman of the executive committee and general manager in 1975, serving in that position for 36 consecutive years. You must have been having fun, Eddie, I'm sure you. Over these many years, he has developed a team of directors, employees, and volunteers that have earned us the title as one of the top fairs in the state of Pennsylvania. Although very involved with his business and the community involvement, and of course the Great Allentown Fair, he always talked about his greatest moments as being a husband, a father, and a grandfather. Eddie, we all appreciate that you have given so much of yourself over these many years. The Lehigh County Agricultural Society, to the Agricultural Society, and to the betterment of our community. You know, when I started here at the fairgrounds, that's the only name I knew. Ed Charles. I heard Ed Charles, and I finally got to meet this guy. And like I said before, what a guy. We, the board of directors and the officers, are so honored to name this building the Ed Charles Exhibition Hall. And when you get inside, there's some pictures mounted on a wall, and you'll see an article that appeared in the paper talking about this edition, and Eddie's comments how it was so important that we add this section to our existing building to make it more welcome for the businesses in our community. You have given your all, and we all say thank you for a job well done. At this time, I would like to present Senator Lisa Paccola. Come on, Lisa. It's all yours, kid.
Thank you. I love that. It's so endearing. My father used to always call me that, kid. Hey, kiddo. So it's very endearing. Thank you. I'm here as the state senator, and Ed's in Whitehall Township, and I represent Whitehall. And I couldn't be thrilled enough to be here celebrating this remarkable career that he's had, and the renaissance of the Great Allentown Fair. I always say in Harrisburg, the Great Allentown Fair, and there's a reason why it's not just the Allentown Fair, it's the Great Allentown Fair, one of the most anticipated events in the Lehigh Valley, and known across the Commonwealth as well. And that only happens because of strong, solid leadership that Ed has made. And I just love him dearly, because every time there's a concert here, I'm always calling up and I'm like, can I have 4 tickets to this concert? Can I have 4 tickets to that one? And I'm always a little late, but somehow he always comes through. And I don't know, who's taking charge after him? Because I'll be calling you too. So that's why I'm here as your state senator, to give you this proclamation. It's good to see so many good friends around you, a good family. I haven't seen Lou Mickley, who I graduated with, in a long time, and I now understand that your daughter was the fair queen, which is kind of cool. So I can't wait to tell all the people I graduated with that your daughter was the Great Allentown Fair queen. This proclamation just talks about everything that you've done, Ed, and I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you very much, Lisa. And I'm proud to say I live in Lisa's district in North Catasauqua. You do a good job. Now it's my pleasure to present the mayor of the city of Allentown, Ed Pawlowski. Come on, Ed.
Thank you so much, and what a great day, huh? Beautiful day to honor this great man. This fairgrounds is such a critical part of the city of Allentown. And I appreciate all of the folks who are here, who continue to honor Ed, but who continue to work day to day to make this operation work, because it is, as Lisa said, it's the Great Allentown Fair, because it's not just for Allentown, it's for the entire Lehigh County, for the entire Lehigh Valley. And Ed made it great, starting in 1975. And now just ending last year, December of 2011, when he said, I want to step down, and I want to be not on the executive committee anymore, but be an emeritus on the executive. So he's still involved. This guy has done so many great things to promote this great institution and build it up to where it's at today. And on behalf of the city, we just appreciate it, Ed. Let's give him a round of applause. Show him our appreciation. Not only does he have a great name, Ed, I am really jealous of this guy, because at 96 years old, he has hair and I do not. Shows his stamina. But on behalf of the city, we have a proclamation here for you. It says, whereas Ed Charles is being honored on Monday, October 22nd for serving 36 consecutive years as chairman of the executive committee of the Great Allentown Fair and its nonprofit operator, the Lehigh County Agricultural Society. And whereas Ed Charles served at the helm of the fairgrounds operations during some of its toughest times that faced its very survival, the Lehigh Valley's granddaddy, that is celebrating 160 years of operations. 160 years. I see Bonnie's here. Let's give a round of applause for 160 years of operation. And whereas Ed Charles, his remarkable vitality to work until age 96 has given credence to the merits of exercising his mind as long as possible, he continues to be his keen interest in society's business as chairman as executive committee emeritus. Now, therefore, I, Ed Pulowski, mayor of the city of Allentown, Pennsylvania, on behalf of all our citizens, want to thank Ed Charles for his many years of devoted service and hereby proclaim Monday, October 22nd as Ed Charles Day in the city of Allentown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How about that, Eddie? Ed Charles Day in the city of Allentown. But that's great. We also received a note from Congressman Charlie Dent. He's so sorry that he can't be here personally today to join everyone in this deserving honoring Ed Charles for the decades of leadership in Lehigh County Agricultural Society and his measurable contributions to the Great Allentown Fair and Fairgrounds. Ed Charles is a longtime pillar of our community. Both the building and the man share a rich slice of history in Allentown and Lehigh County. It is only right that they will now share a name. The name Ed Charles is synonymous with the greatness of the Allentown Fair and joins other great names such as Ed Leidick, Bill Harris, Martin Ritter, and Bill Greenewald. That is indeed a proud legacy for each and every one of us who love the Allentown Fair and its home-based fairgrounds have come to mean to all of us. Congratulations, Ed. Signed, Charlie Dent. You're a very popular guy today, you know that, huh? You should probably think about running for some elective position. I think you'd have a very good chance of winning. You know that, huh? Is there anybody in the audience would like to come up and say a few words to Eddie or about Eddie? Dapper, did you had your hand up?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was doing the shows over there in the Ag Hall, the home shows, the flower shows and everything, and then Ed was looking for a clown for the Allentown Fair, and Dave Cope and Johnny Cathers took me over to see Ed, and Ed was looking for a good clown. I don't know whether he got a good one or not, but he gave me my first chance for the Great Allentown Fair, and that was 35 years ago. And I appreciate everything what Ed Charles has done for me, and he treated me just like a son. He went out of his way many times and said, Dan, if you weren't the greatest clown around, I would have fired you a long time ago. And he did, yes. He gave me the devil sometimes if I made a mistake. And I got blamed for a lot of things that were said about my old friend, Candy Candido, which was Ed's great friend, too. And Ed, I owe you a lot. God bless you.
Mr. Schweiker, welcome. Good to see you. Eddie, you're going to recognize this guy, don't you?
Well, Mr. Charles gave my carnival a great vote of confidence in 1984 when they allowed us to do the Allentown Fair. We did the Great Allentown Fair for 24 years, and I want to say that that was the golden age of the Allentown Fair. We had a lot of good times together. Not that we didn't have some issues, but we carried through. We had issues that were resolved, but Mr. Charles is the fairest man in the world to me. He had treated me fairly, and my success in life is based on his truth and his confidence in me. And I want to thank Mr. Charles from the bottom of my heart. And I know that my dear wife Jackie, who's no longer with us, is looking down today, looking at Ed, looking at us. And all I can say, Ed, is thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you very much, Steve. Real friendship over the years. Anybody else there would like to come up and have a comment? At this point in time, it's my pleasure to introduce to, did I see? Come on up. Your hand wasn't waving. Why don't no. Tell them who you are when you.
Oh, I'm Kathy Sidek. I'm his oldest daughter. Older daughter. Middle child. I got one older. I just wanted to say that I'm sitting here today and listening to all of this and seeing everyone and recounting some of his accomplishments, and that was about 4 of them out of the 24 or 50. And we used to always affectionately call Dad Uncle Daddy because we never saw him. I mean, he was at this meeting or that meeting or wherever he was. And sometimes we'd get, kind of funny about that, like, hey, Dad, where are you? I'm in the senior class play. But, and he made it to the second act. But when I look at this and I hear what he has done for people over all these years, it's okay, Dad. You did a heck of a job. And thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, thank you. I can appreciate what your children were saying at the time. I know it. Growing up, our daughters kept saying, "Where's Daddy?" We experienced the same thing, Ed. The chairman of the executive committee, general chairman of the executive committee, and general manager, and our friend Ray Huffman would like to say a few words. Ray? Ray's hiding over there in the...
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful morning for this special day. I'm honored to be here to speak on behalf of the officers and directors of the Lehigh County Agricultural Society. My first encounter with Ed was when he called me and welcomed me on becoming a member of the Lehigh County Agricultural Society Board of Directors. It's hard to believe that 30-some years have passed since that day. Ed was elected executive committee chairman during some of the toughest times that jeopardized the very survival of the society and the Great Allentown Fair. The executive committee, under Ed's leadership, had to bring this organization out of near bankruptcy. Since the fair was the LCAS's main source of income, it was decided that this organization had to strengthen the other than fair income, handle the challenges of running our year-round fairgrounds operations, and improve our year-round preparation of the Great Allentown Fair in order to survive. Ed's experience as a successful businessman was very crucial. After a few years under his leadership, the organization turned the corner and had become profitable. Since then, the LCAS has remained on a steady path of financial success with a few bumps in the roads, as any business may experience. In 2002, the board began talking about building an extension onto Ag Hall. This plan became a source of disagreement between some board members and some officers as whether it was more feasible to repair our infrastructure on the fairgrounds or build the extension. At the LCS annual stockholders meeting on December the 11th, 2002, a resolution was passed by the majority of the stockholders present to proceed with building this 17,552 square feet extension. Subsequent to the passing of Ed's dear friend, Tom Nader, chairman of the Agricultural Hall Expansion Committee, Ed assumed the leadership role in the construction venture. Furthermore, the project was expeditiously completed in time for the opening of the 2003 Great Allentown Fair. Last December, after 36 years as chairman of the executive committee, Ed decided it was time to relinquish his role. In January of this year, the executive committee unanimously approved his nomination as executive committee chairman emeritus, a position he continues to hold. Therefore, at an executive committee meeting in June of this year, a motion was made by President Bill Albert, seconded and passed unanimously, to name the Agriplex Annex the Ed Charles Exhibition Hall. The executive committee and I would like to thank you, Ed, for your many years of dedication and devotion to the society. Your enthusiasm and love for the organization, and especially the Great Allentown Fair, is evident to everyone who knows you. May the good Lord continue to bless you for all the good you have done.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much, Ray. Those words, I think, echo our words when we think about what Ed has done over the years. We all feel the same way, just so grateful. And now I'm going to introduce to you a young lady that worked with her father. Oh, do we have another hand up? Here. Mike.
I'll be quick.
Mike Sidek. Holy mackerel. How do we miss you, Mike?
His daughters are speaking, so I thought maybe one of the grandkids should speak. I can't see over the podium.
Here, do you want me to lift you up? Huh?
No. I think I speak on behalf of all the grandkids. You know, we love you, Pop-Pop, first and foremost. But there's something we're going to all miss. And that's going into that office every year at the fair and sitting there with your Pop-Pop. Everybody'd welcome you in. You'd grab candy when you come in. You know, everybody knows what I'm talking about. And you walk in, and he's sitting there, and he'd be yelling at somebody. Then he's happy. He's so happy to see you. He sits there, he gives you more candy. Takes you into the other room there where you could eat pretzels, chips, grab a soda, and you felt so loved. Like he was in the middle of the biggest week of his life, but he could take you for that 5 minutes, and you were the most important thing. And I'm going to miss going into that office. I really am. And I'm so glad my kids got to do it. I have pictures of them with you, slipping us a $20 bill. So we're really going to miss that. But it's also 43 years of great memories. So I think I speak on behalf of all of us that pop up. We love you. And thank you for all the great memories.
Mike, before you leave, there's something I want to mention. I think it's very important to know that Mike Sidek attended the Transplant Olympics out in, was that in Michigan?
Yeah.
A month or so ago, and came out with a medal playing golf, right, Mike?
Yep.
How many years ago did you have your transplant?
Now you're making me think. 28 years.
28 years ago. Think about that. And here he is, one of the medal winners at the Olympics. Nice done, Mike. Congratulations. Wow, that's a story in itself. Anybody else? Put your hand up. No takers. You're on the way, kid. We're back to this young lady that worked for many years with her father as her boss. Now can you imagine that? I don't know whether I would have survived or my father would have survived if we had worked under those conditions. It's not easy, but he had good taste. He brought this young lady up to be very talented, and we're so lucky to have Bonnie as our marketing manager here at the fair. She's done a fantastic job, and she's only in that position because she's good, not because it's his daughter. I know. I mean, right? Yeah. Well, great pleasure. I'd like to introduce to you Bonnie Brooks, Eddie's pride and joy.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. My sister was great when she was speaking to you and talking about growing up in the Charles household, and it's true. Dad was always doing something, and Mom was often listening on the radio in the morning when the morning announcer was talking about the popular general manager at Jack Dankel Chevrolet, and she'd say, well, he's not too popular around here this morning. Never understood that. I kind of solved the Uncle Daddy problem here because I turned Uncle Daddy, or someone turned Uncle Daddy into Mr. Charles for me for 30 years. And when I say someone, the great Martin Ritter and Charles Bud Weiser, who was the public relations manager, he was a former city editor for the Morning Call, convinced Ed Charles to have me. I was taking some downtime, just had given birth not too long before to my first son and was actually expecting my second son, and he said, let's get Bonnie in here to do the public relations for the fair. I was excited to keep my hand in my craft, and I really had intended to be here for maybe about a year, something like that. And just like everything that happens with the fair, you know, this fair is 160 years old because everybody that ever got associated with it just couldn't go away from it. It's just such a fantastic tradition in the Lehigh Valley, and it's meant so much. Everyone here is here on the staff and on the board. The dedication, it just goes on for years and years and years. Now, I grew up with Ed Charles running so many dinners and meetings for whatever interest he was in, and he'd always tell the speakers, 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes. And it would blow my mind because the speakers would do a minute and a half about how they had to get off because Eddie Charles was only giving them 2 minutes. And I said, you're squandering a minute and a half. I know you're on wheels right now, but you're not running away, and this is going to take just a little longer than 2 minutes. So put the brakes on, Ed, because here we go. The original WWW to me wasn't World Wide Web. It was wisdom, wits, and wit. Because to me, that just sums up what Ed Charles has been my entire life, and certainly to all of us here who are here today. The wisdom part of it, we disagreed a lot in. I was youth, vitality, sunny skies. He was wet blanket. You gotta vet everything you do. You have to go over everything to make sure it's right. All of us who work for him have gone through that vetting process, haven't we, guys? You know, all of us who've been there. There isn't a project that we do that wasn't turned inside out, upside down until we did it, including this beautiful hall that we're dedicating in his honor today. There was a lot of thought put into everything that we did. The other thing that we all learned from Ed was his negotiating skill and his presence. This man had a presence and has a presence right now sitting here like no one, I was going to say in the room, but we're outdoors, in the universe. I can remember my first fair. We had Alabama come to the fair, and the negotiator for the show left a little something out about a $15,000 production charge. So it's the night of the show, and it was a fabulous sellout. 5 weeks in advance, we sold out. But all of a sudden, there was more money to be paid to the artists than Ed had understood there was to be. So very rarely did Ed Charles ever go backstage at the fair, but we see Ed Charles going across, and he's going to talk to the manager of Alabama. Now, I want to do this, and I'm still on mic, but I have to show you this. He walks back, and they're standing toe to toe. white trousers, white sports coat. It's 1983. White shoes. They're eye to eye. They're ready to do battle. Nice suit. Yeah, nice. You looked at it. That's right. Okay, they're back at it. The fireworks that went on for 5 minutes, the resolution was a compromise because that's what Ed was about. He wanted Alabama back there the next year and many years after, so it was a compromise that was good for everybody. 2 years later, Kenny Rogers comes to the fair. Now, Kenny Rogers was almost like a matinee idol. The women swooned at this time in Kenny Rogers' career, and the line for tickets went, honestly, the whole length of the Farmers Market building extension and right up here to what was then just Ag Hall. The night of the show, Kenny Rogers' manager shows up. Now, can you believe this? He looked exactly like Kenny Rogers. I'm not kidding you. His name was C.J. Spurlock. 2 years ago, he's arguing with somebody that looks exactly like him. Now he's arguing with somebody that looks like Kenny Rogers. The reason being is this man said he would like to have a few seats put down in front of the first row. And Ed Charles said, oh, no, you don't understand. There were women standing out here for days to get tickets for the show. You can't put anybody in front of the front. He said, well, I'm sorry, then he's not going to go on. So he said, okay, then he's not going to go on, and did an about face and went out to the midway. Now, you have to know in these negotiations, they never want the show not to go on. So this guy's sweating. He's looking. Kenny Rogers' double is running around sweating. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? We have to get this show on. He comes to me. He said, I think, I'm playing this game. I think I have him. He said, listen, where do you want, who is it that you want to be in the first row? Well, it's his wife and a couple of people. He said, you know what, sir? His wife gets to sleep with him every night. Every woman who's been out in this stand has been wanting to be with him. He said, we'll put his wife in the center aisle here next to somebody. And honestly, the people who were sitting around his wife had much of a show as they did for the time. Now, it sounds like he's a tough negotiator, and believe me, I remember my first time when I started booking the shows. We had a band called Boys to Men, and they had decided, they changed every deal point in the contract. And that night, and including, they wanted lamb chops. Now, if you know where Boys to Men are from Philadelphia, their entire relation was backstage. If we had served lamb chops, we never would have been able to pay the band. So we had it as, the negotiation point was pork chops. But they were okay with that, but they wanted more of the merchandise. And the contract said what the merchandise split was going to be. Ed was standing in the doorway, and they put Los Angeles on speakerphone. Los Angeles is speaking to our backstage. We weren't speaking to one another. It was a big triangle. And I'm standing there, and I hear this. They say, well, Bonnie, if you don't come up with a different deal here, they're not going to go on. And he's standing, he's listening to me, and I said, well, then I'm afraid they're not going to go on. And I said, so let me get the message over to the stage, and it's going to be something like, due to a negotiation point, the band is not going to be on tonight, and then I'm going to pull every security person I can, and let's see the 14,500 people, how they feel about that. Oh, no, you wouldn't do that. I said, try me. There he was, looking at me. Okay, she's learned. She's got it. And at that point, the point stayed, and there we were. I'm making Ed out to be a tough negotiator and a tough guy. But now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the softie. Stevie Swyka knows this. It's the revenge of the goldfish. You win a goldfish at the fair, and they don't die. Even though you want them to die, you're hoping, your kids, you're cleaning out the goldfish bowl. We had one at our house named Jaws, lived 4 years. I cleaned that bowl. I was hoping so much I could send it down to its watery grave somewhere out in the sewer, and never could. Stacy Horvath, our administrative director, is the animal lover of all times. Stacy wins a goldfish at the fair and brings it into her office. And Martin Ritter's office is right next to her, so she names the goldfish Marty. Now, I'm telling you, there was never a goldfish on the planet that was treated like this goldfish. And I'll tell you why. Because Ed Charles, the tough guy, was feeding this goldfish every chance he could get. Ed would come in and open the mail on Saturday morning. He said, if there's mail, there's business. So he came to this fairground 6 days a week. We know why he came in Saturday morning. He wanted to feed Marty, make sure Marty was okay. And I'm not kidding you. This goldfish, as the goldfish was getting bigger and bigger for all that Ed was feeding him, had, you know, our offices, you've been there. We might be behind the Ritz, but they're certainly not the Ritz. Marty, because of Stacy's benevolence, she was like King Neptune. She had every treasure chest, different stones. The fish tank kept getting bigger, and Ed kept feeding him and feeding him. It was to the point where the goldfish, you know, one eye's going this way, and one eye's going, he'd see Ed like this, and all of a sudden he'd start doing the backstroke. Hit me, Eddie, right here. You know, this was every day. Now one fine day, Stacy has an appointment. She's coming into the office a little later. We arrive at the office and we see this pandemonium going on. Here, this beautiful cave that Stacy bought for Marty, the fish got stuck. He was a little, you know, the gills, he was a little girth around the gills. It was kind of like Winnie the Pooh honey bear stuck into the cave. Eddie has Scott Williamson and Larry Dufresne in the bathroom getting the jaws of life to save this fish. I'm not kidding you. The rest of us are out there watching the door because we knew we were going to have to give Stacy CPR if she came in and saw that Marty was gone. He saved Marty. And to go. Now, Marty's buried near the Farmerama Theater. Is that right, Stacy? Oh, he's back there? Oh, yes. No, Stacy knows because she goes and puts flowers on his grave every day. So that's just a few of fun stories about the time here that we and the staff had with Ed Charles. He was a marvelous manager. He had our backs all the time. That's something that anybody who's working in an organization wants. He would tell us when we made mistakes, but not in the middle of things. If the business was going on, there was never, the fair had to go on. We never, ever had a time that he did not have our backs, and that was something that all of us would never forget. You know, during the course of the Allentown Fair, there was one point, where he and I would change roles for the first time in 365 days. It would be about 11:30 on Labor Day night, and we'd go down to Yakko's. And it was the last night, and he'd order 2 with everything, well done. Of course, Julie would try to get him not to pay for him, and he insisted on paying for him, right, Julie? There's no question. And he and I would take these 2 hot dogs, and we'd click them together. And for that moment, until the next morning, because we work here on Tuesday, right, everyone? You know, after the fair, everyone thinks we have vacation after that. We became father and daughter. It didn't last long, but it was a wonderful time. And now it's time to become father and daughter. Our family is represented here today by his sister coming from California, Dolores. She represents Amelia, Charlie, Eleanor, Tommy, and Dolores, his proud family. Eleanor's represented here today by Candy, Bob, and Bobby, her son-in-law. It's just wonderful. Your family's so proud of you. You've done such an amazing achievement in the city of Allentown that you've loved your whole life. You're going to see, I saw they have green and gold and blue in here for Allen High. No other. This man, they took a bench out of the little palestra and presented it to him because he sat there when his kids were at Whitehall High School, for heaven's sakes. He's down. I'm a cheerleader for Whitehall. He's at Allen games. But this is Ed Charles. He just exuded Allentown. He didn't even, when he lived in Whitehall, only lived a stone's throw over the bridge. The car, when I was a kid, only went south. And he landed somehow here getting involved with the Great Allentown Fair. Worked a block away at Jack Dankel Chevrolet. Interned before he became general manager for years and years and years because only a block away, he was in that office every day. What you've done for this organization. Now, I realize in 160 years, 36 is a blip. My 30 is a blip. But I think we understood something. we're all caretakers of this society. We don't own it. We have members that own the society, but we're only here for how many years? None of us are going to last 160, so we're really only caretakers, and we're all doing the best we can to pass it on to the next generation. The Great Allentown Fair is all about Olympics for the farmers, agriculture, the blue ribbons, the smiles, the kids, 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 kids. This has been this man's life to do for youth. So much so that you know he's of Syrian descent, of Lebanese descent, and they let him fire the gun at the B'nai B'rith races. They'd say, how are we doing this? He loves, he loves kids. And this is all about the future, all the time. So we stand here in 2012, and we say, thank you. And I'm so glad to say, I love you, Dad.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Don Charles, number one and only son of Edward Charles. And I was asked several times if I wanted to say something today, and I declined. But after being here and seeing all of you here and hearing your testimonials, I thought I had to say something. And my real name, by the way, is Edward. My first name is Edward, middle name Donald Charles. Now, I didn't want to, I was told that my parents didn't want me to be known as a junior, so they would say, oh, we'll call him Donald. But my real name is Edward. That E. Donald Charles worked fine until I got in the Army, and they told me, if you want your paycheck, you'll sign Edward Charles. I've lived away from the Lehigh Valley for 50 years, but I just want to tell you this. I was always, and still am, proud of the city of Allentown, the Great Allentown Fair, and the real Edward Charles.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to come up and say a few words? Bonnie, I'm going to ask you to take this hand mic and take it over to your dad rather than the... Oh, there's Scott, come on. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, the man that we are honoring today, Ed Charles.
Thank you, Bill. The program could be, can you top this, I guess. How can you top all the people that spoke to you today? Thank you, Mayor, Senator, Dan, everybody. They say when you're not a Nigerian, whoever was saying it right, but it's 90-year-old, you can say most anything and nobody says anything bad about it. Well, I'm 97, so I'm 97, I'll be 98 soon if this doesn't stop. But I've said lots of words in my time, but I had no problem with anybody would want to change it in any way, shape, or form. Senator, would you help me for a minute? Would you hold this? Just so happened that I had a couple of words to say.
2 minutes.
Want to lay odds I'll beat it?
He did come prepared. He has a whole stack of papers there.
Thank you. I just want you to know that when I say anything about the Allentown Fair, I want to be the best, say it the best. And I want you to know that I wrote a few lines that comes right from the bottom of my heart for each and every one of you here today. First, I'm very proud to know that the 160th Great Allentown Fair was a success. Congratulations. Wonderful fair. I'm indeed highly honored and humbled to receive this recognition and to share this huge honor with my friends and family while being here with them to help smell the roses. Not many people get a chance to do that. So I've been very happy with your cooperation that I'm now smelling the roses. Thank you all, and bless the society and its great fair and mission. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Eddie. You truly are an inspiration to all of us. Your time, your energy that you have given to the Lehigh County Agricultural Society will never be forgotten. And many of us consider it an honor to have the opportunity to work with you year after year, getting ready and for the fair and executing the fair and planning for the next one. You're just one great guy. Let's give him another round of applause. I want to mention to all of you, when you get into the hall, there's a memory box that we have placed on one of the tables. There are cards on all the tables and pens. Take the time to write a little note, something that you may remember that occurred with your relationship with Eddie over the years. It's going to be a great thing to preserve for the family, for Eddie to sit and read some of the notes. Now, don't forget that memory box is very, very important. I'm going to, since we won't all be together to break bread at the same time, I'm going to call on Alex Maggette to offer a prayer before we dine. Alex?
Let us pray. Ever-living and ever-loving God, we gather today to give you thanks. Thank you for allowing us the success we have enjoyed for the past 160 years. Thank you for the generations of many dedicated leaders, such as Ed Charles, who have led the society through both good and difficult times. We are grateful for the support of our board, our stockholders, our vendors, our volunteers, and all our friends of the Great Allentown Fair. And thank you for the hardworking farm families that grow our crops and raise livestock to put food on our table. And of course, Lord, thank you for the meal we're about to share. We offer this prayer in the name of all members of the Lehigh County Agricultural Society. Amen.
Thank you, Alec. Bonnie, members of your family, we're ready to unveil the plaque. My God, Eddie, you haven't changed a bit. How about that? Beautiful. Wonderful.
What did you say? What did you say? You look like that 90 years ago. Hasn't changed a bit, he said. That's
But for generations and generations to see and appreciate the work that our good friend Ed Charles has done. He has done more than many of you realize, not just for the fair, the Agricultural Society, but for the community here in the county, Whitehall Township, City of Allentown. One hell of a man, and we owe him a great vote of thanks. Eddie, another round of applause. Thank you all for coming. Don't leave. There's a buffet lunch being served on the inside. You've heard that fair saying, see the little lady on the inside. Well, see the lunch on the inside.
He was behind the Allentown Fair for decades, and now he'll be remembered for years to come. Today, the Exhibition Hall at the Allentown Fairgrounds was renamed the Ed Charles Exhibition Hall. Charles served as chairman of the Allentown Fair and Fairgrounds from 1975 through 2011. A plaque bearing his name and likeness was unveiled at a dedication ceremony this morning. Congratulations, Ed Charles.
Today is October 23rd. Ed Charles was behind the Allentown Fair for decades, and now he'll be remembered for years to come. 69 News reports that the Exhibition Hall at the Allentown Fairgrounds was renamed the Ed Charles Exhibition Hall yesterday. Charles served as chairman of the Allentown Fair and the Fairgrounds from 1975 through 2011. A plaque bearing his name and likeness was unveiled at a dedication ceremony.